Chapter 3, the creation of human animals. One flesh. Matthew 19, verses 5 through 6, and Mark 10, verses 6 through 9. Blue, pink. Messages for the medical world. The good news and the bad news. One flesh. To be able to control these evil angels, jinns, capital J-I-N-N-S, souls, you, even more efficiently, to be able to discipline you and to teach you to be good. God decided to create human animals that would blend in with the rest of nature. These creatures would be living animals, breathing air and having the same body functions as the others. They would also have to have the same selfish animal instincts, i.e., living by survival of the fittest, but would not be evil. Animals are not evil. Like you, they are only animals and do not know any better than to live by following their natural animal instincts. So God created Adam, man, then created Eve, woman, from Adam's rib, making her flesh of his flesh and bone of his bone. And he gave the simple story to Moses in Genesis and later to Muhammad in the Quran. Listing the family trees of all the people would have made Genesis, the Bible, and the Quran into a library of 10 to 20 volumes, and they are already so big that many people allow Satan to intimidate them into not reading them because of their size. Once the human animals had been created, God breathed life into them, human life. Surah 15, verse 29. Lucifer and his angels, you were then given a choice and had to decide whether or not to submit to human limitations and being reprogrammed to be good little by little over many human lifetimes and thousands of earth years, or to sit and wait for the fire to destroy you. Surah 15, verse 30. All the evil angels, jinns, capital J-I-N-N-S, you, except Lucifer, Iblis, capital I-B-L-I-S, himself, chose to submit to being locked inside of Adam's and Eve's, making human beings. Revelation 3, verse 7. He that closes and no man opens, and he that opens and no man closes. Later, when Jesus said to his disciples, "These things I do, you will do in more than these," John 14, verse 12, he was referring to if and when they earned their pardons, they would be given back their divinity and superhuman powers, which would allow them to do even more incredible things than he could do whilst locked inside the Son of Mary. Remember that he too had to submit to human limitations so that people could see him and follow his example. I am the way you have to be. The reason that Lucifer, now called Satan, is so powerful is because he refused to submit to human limitations, being locked inside of a human animal and learning to be good. So he still has his memory and superhuman powers. He refused because of his incredible arrogance, which was what caused him to be banished from heaven, along with you in the first place. Surah 7, verse 11, and Surah 15, verses 31 through 44. Surah 3, verse 10, Satan, Iblis, capital I-B-L-I-S, asked God to reprieve him until the last day. And the Lord granted his wish so that he could use Satan to tempt the human beings. Satan swore to attack you all by seduction, lies, etc., from in front and from behind, and from your left and from your right. Surah 7, verses 15 through 20, and Surah 15, verse 44, and from inside, the enemy within, because he considers all of you to be traitors to him for blaming him and having submitted to human limitations and trying to learn to be good. That is why he is now your enemy. If you follow him now, he will reward you with the only thing that he has to offer, i.e., worldly material treasures that you cannot keep and animal pleasures of the flesh. If you do follow him, it will be into the fire, execution. If you strive to be good, Satan will attack you from every direction to try to pull you back into his control. Because when you do good in the world, you become a threat to him. That is when you need 100% faith. And with that faith, God's protection from evil, Ephesians 6, verses 10 through 18, and Surah 2, verses 257. Whenever you let Satan deceive you into thinking that you cannot win against injustice, just because you are vastly outnumbered and completely surrounded, e.g. fighting City Hall, Ephesians 6, verse 12, when, if only you didn't let Satan deceive you, you could win by trusting in God and by wearing his armor. You are telling God that you think Satan is more powerful than he is. That is ridiculous, because God sent Satan here and keeps him here against his will, which is why over thousands of years Satan has become more and more bitter and twisted. He is now so sick and depraved that I feel sorry for him. You can always win against injustice with enough faith as long as you talk to God, follow his orders, and have 100% faith, because he will be with you every step of the way. That does not mean that it will be easy. But then no one said that life in prison would be easy. You will have to fight every step of the way. But with 100% faith, you can use the force to overcome all obstacles. When you are doing God's will for you, the entire world cannot stop you from winning. If you lose your faith, you will lose the battle. However, if you keep going forwards and do not let Satan scare you by holding on to your faith in God's protection, following his will, you cannot lose. In any case, these problems in your lives are on a test to see whether you are willing to fight for God against Satan. You should not see these things as problems, but as an opportunity to earn points towards your remission. There are no such things as problems. There are only solutions waiting to be found. There are only problems in your mind or frame of mind. If you do not recognize them as problems, then they are not problems, but solutions waiting to be found. And you should be grateful for these opportunities to fight to show your worth. And these evil people, what you are made of, it is how you face up to these tests and overcome them that builds your character, spiritual strength, willpower, makes you stronger, and makes you who you are. Don't fight for selfish reasons, and stay calm, because your human emotions, fear, anger, aggression, etc., will cloud your judgment and block God's messages and de-force, and you will lose. De-force can only be used for knowledge and defense, not for aggressive physical attack. You will lose because Satan will use your anger and aggression against you by causing you to say things that you do not really mean to people who may have helped you if you had not insulted and alienated them with your anger and aggression. Once you have established who is friend and who is foe, fight your foe, no matter what position he may hold. Remember that all men were created equal, and still are, in God's eyes. Don't make people into false gods and worship them, if you have been commanded not to. 10 Commandments. If you do, you will defeat yourself before you start. If you fight with human emotions, you will block out the force, and then Satan can sidetrack you, lead you off in another direction, and keep you bogged down arguing with someone who could possibly have helped and speeded you on your way. Fight with your spirit and determination, not with your fists, except in self-defense. Keep calm and smiling at all times. Listen to God's guidance, then go forward and conquer. It is that simple. These things are sent to test us. Do not complicate matters with organized religions and superstitious nonsense. Keep it simple. Good, G-O-O-D, and D, evil, that is all that there is to it. Organized religions were invented by Satan to deceive you and complicate everything. Don't let him fool you. You have to fight for good against evil, to pass tests and to prove to God that you have genuinely changed sides and can be trusted. Fighting with Satan against God is what got you sent here. So the only way you can prove to God, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that you have genuinely changed sides and want to be good is by fighting here and now. For God, good against the devil, evil. Look for fights. The bigger the better. The bigger the fight, the more points you can earn towards your remission. Look for fights that need fighting for the benefit of everyone, not just for your own selfish reasons. Even if you do not look for fights, they will come to you. There is so much injustice in this world that you are bound to come up against it. And when you do, that will be your fight. It will then be up to you as to whether you decide to fight for good, God, against injustice, evil, devil, and by winning, help to make the world a better place for yourself and everyone to live in or to surrender to and suffer from the injustice, thereby allowing it to continue and grow, making the world even more evil and unjust for yourself and everyone else to have to live in and suffer from. All that is necessary for evil to triumph is for those who want to be good to do nothing to stop it. If you decide to fight as you should, each battle that you fight will train and prepare you for the next one, which will be bigger and more difficult, and which will in turn train you for the next one, which will be still bigger, and so on, against people who are more and more powerful and evil. However, you must never make it personal or lose your temper. Self-control. Don't get angry, get determined. Always remain humble, even in victory, because you could not have won without God's help. Then when you have passed the ultimate test, which is to be like Jesus in thought, word, and deed at all times, under all circumstances, always doing for others, you can go home. It is that simple. It may be simple, but it is not easy. You have to prove yourself and fight for your right to go home against all odds, but with 100% faith. The force will be with you always to protect you every step of the way, provided that you do not lose your faith in his protection. People say, if there is a God, let him prove it to me. Just who do they think that they are, that God should need to prove anything to them? It is they who are going to be executed, not God. And it's exactly the same stupid, arrogant attitude that got them sent here in the first place. If you apologize and have real faith, then God will prove to each and every one of you that he is real. John 7, verse 17. You will not see him because you need to keep faith. Human beings, as you know them, are a combination of 4 things, and they are, number 1, a human animal, the body that you are temporarily using with its own separate life. Human and mortal, John 3, verse 6. Number 2, a soul, the real you, which is spirit energy, magnesium, and immortal, John 3, verse 6. Number 3, the Holy Spirit, i.e., the two telepathic voices that every. Number 4, the devil, normal human plus being, has in his head. When a human baby is born, it has no soul, but it is alive and breathing with its own human animal life, Surah 15, verse 30, before the soul enters the body. Some never have a soul because they are so substandard that they are of no use, being unable to be used to teach a soul anything, not even humility. At the other end of the scale, a totally senile person is a living human animal, left alive after the soul has left it. The human body is nothing more than a very sophisticated, by human standards, organic living computer that self-reproduces and self-repairs if it is not too badly damaged. It is a combination of smaller computers, e.g. brain, kidneys, liver, etc., collectively making up the whole pre-programmed to have selfish animal instincts that your soul has to learn to overcome. The physical human brain operates the body and its emotions, but your mind and its feelings belong to your soul. That is why Jesus said that the flesh is worthless and that it is only the spirit, soul, the real you, that has value. John 3, verse 6 and John 6, verse 63. It would have absolutely no useful purpose for a soul to enter into a baby whilst it is inside a woman's body for months. The reason that a soul is placed inside a body has already been explained. It is to learn, and it could not possibly learn anything inside a baby that is inside a womb, inside a woman's body. A short period of time after the baby's birth, it undergoes a change and suddenly has recognition and awareness. That is when the soul has entered the body, along with the Holy Spirit and the devil, the enemy within. The Holy Spirit, or good voice, is planted inside the human animal body with and connected to the soul. It is the soul's telepathic connection with God. To try to simplify things, for you to be able to understand more easily, if you can think for a moment of God as being like a master computer and memory bank, fountain of knowledge, with the Holy Spirit as the soul's connection and personal computer terminal, linked to the Master One, by which each soul is told and taught privately, individually, and personally what is good and what is evil by the Lord, then you will have a better understanding of how things work.